So this is the time domain view of the channel. So you can see that multiple paths are arriving at the receivers. Then this is the first path, second path, and third path, and so on. So these multiple copies of the same transmitted signal xt is arriving at the receiver. So at receiver, our aim is that we have to combine these multiple paths constructively so that received signal strength can be enhanced. Okay, so if you remember that rack CDMA, we generally use a rack receiver kind of thing, rack receiver kind of thing. So you have signal that is arriving, then it's going through multiple these one, then multiple delays. Okay, basically here delay, then so you optimize the phase actually. So here phase is omega tau 0 e power minus omega tau 1, and here phase is like omega tau n. So this n path. So channel generally can be written as, let I can write I is equal to 0 to let L minus 1. Okay, a I e power, so h, sorry, delta t minus tau I. Okay, so you have L paths, so let the notice at omega tau L. So these delays is converted to the phase. Okay, so that you can optimize the phase, then you can combine these paths. Okay, add the path, then you take the detection. Okay, so that is a time domain view of the channel. So you just looking the each multiple paths in the time, then this each path is arriving at different time instant. So you optimize the phase. This delay is resulting delay results phase shift. Okay, so multiple phase shifts you have to combine. So what is the drawback in this scheme is that due to the multiple paths, what is happening, suppose you are transmitting the pulse signal at 0. Okay, that's a transmitted signal. Then the receiver, you are seeing these copies. Okay, so that is 0 to let say tau max. That is a maximum delay spread. Maximum delay spread of the channel. Okay, so its meaning is that time dispersion happens. You just sending the pulse here, okay, at 0, but it is going to non-zero in this duration. Then if you say sending this second pulse or second symbol here, okay, then it will maybe start from here. Okay, so overlap between these symbols can happen at the receiver due to the delay spread of the channel. Okay, so delay spread delay spread results in ISI, inter-symbol interference. Okay, so these multiple paths are resolvable if you have a high frequency. So like a frequency is high. Okay, let me say bandwidth B, frequency is high, so this delay bins like a proportional to 1 upon B. So these delay bins can be resolved at the receiver. So you can see these paths can be resolved. Okay, so CDMA, what we do, we consider wide band signal transmission. So this wideband signal have like a multiple copies of transmitted signal at the receiver. Okay, so these, like this is a first pulse, second symbol, and so on. Then receiver, what will happen, these are the delay spreads. As I already told you, this one impulse can result as a multiple impulses at the receiver due to the multiple paths. So that is going to delay spread. Okay, So that is a maximum delay spread. So this delay dispersion, or that is called time dispersion. Time dispersion, okay, can cause the ISI, inter-symbol interference at the receiver. What will happen? So this is your first symbol, then it will spread out. So it will like look like this one. Then you can see that. Okay, this is the first symbol, time duration at the receiver. This, then second symbol you are transmitting. Okay, then it will like again, then it is delay spread out. Okay, okay. So time dispersing factor. So due to the time dispersion, you can see transmitted symbol is only this duration, like 0 to TS, then 2 TS. So here 0, TS, 2 TS, and 3 TS, and so on. So this one symbol here, duration is TS, but due to the multiple paths, it is spread out in time domain. So it is starting from here and going up to here. Okay. Similarly, second time slot, this is starting from here and going up to here. Okay. So it is spread out. So you can see that first symbol received signal is this one. Second symbol received signal is this one. So first symbol is not going to 0 in second time slot. It is like a non-zero. So here you can see this portion is interfering. Last portion of that, this frame, first frame, is going to cause interference in the second time frame. Okay, so this is called inter-symbol interference. When one previous symbols causing the interference in the current time frame, that is called inter-symbol interference. So that is the ISI. Okay, okay. So that is clear. So we have to have ISI. If we want to minimize the ISI, so what we will do, we will maximize this time symbol duration. So you can make like a time frame of each symbol is larger. Okay, 0 to TS and 2 TS. So this case, we can, this inter-symbol portion, that overlapping between two consecutive frames, we can minimize. But if you doing that, like time frame duration is higher, so if TS is higher, that meaning is data rate is going to lower. Okay. So what we will do generally at the receiver, to avoid these inter-symbol interference, we use the equalizer. I hope you remember that word equalizer, that generally we nullify the effect of channel to reduce the effect of channel on the transmitted symbol. So that if we increasing the data symbol duration, that meaning data rate is going to reduce. But next generation, like as CDMA compared to like a 4th generation, we want higher data rate. So what we will do, we will transmit data rate very fast. So meaning is that this symbol duration is going to smaller symbol duration, smaller symbol duration. Okay, so this is smaller symbol duration. Then what will happen? Channel is a physical quantity, so we cannot control the channel, like number of paths in the channel or the delay spread of the channel. Okay, that is a tau max, 0 to tau max. So that we cannot control, that depend on the physical environment. So what will happen at the receiver, this inter-symbol interference, that ISI is more severe because symbol duration is small, so more overlapping at the receiver side. Okay, so this is like a severe inter-symbol interference. So if you want to higher data rate, okay, then inter-symbol interference is a big challenge using this CDMA technology. Okay, okay. So we need a complex equalizer at the receiver to compensate this ISI, okay, or to handle this ISI. So this is very challenging task. So what people did, people thought that instead of the time domain channel, can like considering this whole bandwidth, we can split this bandwidth into the multiple frequency bands. Okay, then we can process these bands independently. Okay, so what will happen? Let's go to the slides so maybe more understand. Sorry. So overview of this presentation is that what is the OFDM, why we are going to OFDM, and then how OFDM works. Then we look the orthogonal signals property, then OFDM block diagram, and then advantage and disadvantage, then OFDM versus OTFS, orthogonal time frequency space modulation. So that is the whole idea. Okay. So you have a modulator that modulates the information, then it's going through the wireless channel, then it demodulates. So we have a synchronization and equalization at the receiver side, then you have a sync that can store the data for you. So that is the dispersion. You can see that at transmitter we just sending one pulse, okay, and just blue pulse, then this is just a delay. So you can see that it is spread, this corresponding to this single pulse, that we have a multiple pulse at different time instant. So that is a delay 0 to tau max. So here you can think just duration is 0 of transmitted pulse, very narrow, but it's going to spread out as a tau max. Okay, so spreading happens in the time domain. This spreading results intersymbol interference between two adjacent symbols. So multipath propagation leads to dispersion of the received signal in time. Let each sample is spread out over m samples. So if you sending one sample, you will get m samples. If m here m number of samples is equal to tau max, that is a delay spread, maximum delay spread, divided by the sampling frequency ts. Okay, so meaning is that you can understand here, if we just sending one sample, we will get m samples due to the delay spread of the channel. Okay, so data rate is high, then intersymbol interference is also high. Okay, why? Because data rate high meaning is that frame duration is small, so that will result severe ISI. Its meaning is that you can understand this way. If your data symbol is this much, okay, this much, like 0 to ts and 2 ts. So if a small portion, like this much portion, is intersymbol interference, overlapping happens, that so you can see that intersymbol ISI duration is small compared to the total duration, this one ts. Okay, so that maybe you can just discard this portion. Okay, but if your like case is this one, okay, 0 to ts, sorry, this ts, okay, 2 ts. So this portion is SI, so ISI. So overlapping portion is significant as compared to the symbol duration. Okay. So wideband single carrier transmission. Wideband single carrier transmission meaning is that if we have a high bandwidth, then symbol duration is small. So that result severe ISI. Okay, that you can see here. So wideband frame duration is small, then severe intersymbol interference. Okay, so severe ISI we need a equalizer. So direct path and the indirect path we have that we already discussed. So that causes the intersymbol interference. Okay. So we can look here. B. Wideband system, wideband system and narrowband system. So let wideband system, what is the wideband system? Where tau max, that is the maximum delay spread, and that is the symbol duration. So if maximum delay spread is higher than the symbol duration, so you can see this is a symbol duration, and maximum delay spread is higher than, so it causes severe ISI in the time domain. Okay, because this is your first frame and second frame, so that causing like ISI. Okay, ISI. Okay, So the wideband system, meaning this condition is satisfied if delay spread in the time domain. So this is the time domain view of wideband communication system. Okay. Then similarly, you can see this is the frequency domain view. So frequency domain view is that frequency domain B is equal to 1 upon T symbol. So symbol T is small, so bandwidth is large. Okay, then corresponding to delay spread, we have a frequency response of the channel. So this is basically channel in time domain. This is a channel in frequency domain. So you can see transmitted signal bandwidth is higher than the channel bandwidth. So each frequency component in this transmitted signal experience different gain. Okay, you can see this frequency component almost experiencing the zero gain, and but this frequency component experiencing higher channel gain. So that's what frequency selective fading. So this frequency selective fading. Okay. Similarly, if you look that narrowband system, so where tau max is smaller than the T symbol. So what we will do, tau max is smaller than the T symbol. So this is the T symbol. So frequency domain, you can see channel is like a same channel tau max, but transmitted signal in frequency domain is small because like a small duration. So you can see that whole frequency component of this transmitted signal will experience the same channel. So that is called flat fading. Flat fading. Okay. So idea of FDM is that in CDMA, what we were doing, whole frequency band 0 to B hertz, we are using as just a single frequency. Okay, 0 to B. Okay, then each user will use this frequency band. Okay, so it will spread over in its information here. Then spread here. Okay, here. But OFDM, what we are doing, OFDM, this frequency band is divided into multiple frequency bands like 0, like this is 1, 2, 3, and so on. So we divided it n frequency bands. Then each frequency band bandwidth is delta, that is equal to total bandwidth B divided by number of frequency bands. Then we have an n narrow band. Okay. Then multi-carrier symbol duration TMC is greater than Tmax. So what is the meaning is that TMC is equal to 1 upon delta F. Okay. So delta F is going to smaller than symbol duration corresponding to this frequency band is TMC, that is going to much higher than the tau max. Okay. Frequency is small, so TMC is higher. And then tau max is the fix. So now each frequency band will experience this TMC higher than tau max. Okay. So it will experience that flat channel in frequency domain. We have seen if this condition is satisfied, Tmax is higher than Tmax, so it experience flat frequency channel response. Okay. So now what we did by dividing the whole frequency bands into the smaller frequency bands, that each bandwidth is delta F, we enhance the time duration of the signal TMC. Okay, so that is increased. Okay, if it is increased, it meaning is that we have a flat fading channel in frequency. Okay, so multi-carrier symbol in the baseband is n is equal to TMC upon TS. Okay, so corresponding to number of samples, we can say that n that is equal to TMC upon TS. Okay, TMC is the time duration divided by sampling frequency, and we have considered that L is the samples in the channel. So TMC is greater than tau max, the loss is bearable, that I already told you, because symbol duration is higher. Okay, then this small portion is ISI is going, so we can overcome this ISI, or we can easily remove this ISI because that overlapping portion is very small as compared to the symbol duration. Okay, hence multi-carrier transmission is a better choice to handle the ISI. Okay, is any question at this point? Hello.
no questions.
Okay. So you can think wideband and narrowband system in such a way. Suppose wideband is a company that sends all the goods in single truck, one big truck, but narrowband company sends the goods in small trucks. Okay. So meaning is that if something happened during the transmission, that whole goods can destroy. Okay, but here only one truck can destroy, so only small portion of the goods can destroy. Its meaning is that if you just sending the signal independently on the multiple subcarriers, then if one subcarrier is going to a deep fade, okay, so its meaning is that it will affect the data only particular that subcarrier, not whole subcarriers. So we have more diversity in this case as compared to this one. So transmission over multiple sub-channels is more robust. Okay, it's more robust meaning is that it's more robust against the channel conditions. Channel condition like a deep fade. Okay, deep fade meaning is that when channel amplitude is very small, particular time duration or particular frequency, so that channel is called in deep fade. Okay, so you can see single band carrier system, that is a wideband channel in the CDMA. You can think so whole bandwidth is B, then whole bandwidth B generally transmit the data. Okay, then multiple users spread the data over the same frequency band B. So user sending the data as a considering single frequency band, that is called wideband channel. Okay, but OFDM, what we doing, we are dividing this whole frequency into multiple frequency bands. These generally called carriers. Then each frequency band is B upon N. Okay, so bandwidth, this is the each bandwidth of each subcarrier. Then you can see that time domain, we can enhance this. You can look, this is the time, and this is maybe you can look frequency, y-axis frequency, and x-axis is the time. So time duration of each symbol is enhanced. Okay, that's why I'm saying T by TMC is higher than tau max. Okay, here time symbol is small because we are using single carrier as a whole channel. Okay, so that way you can think. Then transmission is very resilient in selective fading, interference and multipath effects, and will provide high degree of spectral efficiency. So this scheme converting wideband channel into the multiple narrowband channels, that we called two scheme. That is, one is frequency division multiplexing, another one is called OFDM. Okay. So OFDM, you can think this is the frequency division multiplexing. So what we will do, we will divide this whole frequency into multiple frequency bands F0, F1 and F2. Okay, then this channel, this frequency band independently modulated, this one and independently modulated, they are then it is transmitted over the air. Okay, but drawback is scheme is that this frequency bands and this frequency bands are separated. They have like a guard band, okay, to avoid the overlapping, okay, at the receiver. So we generally put the guard band. Okay, and another thing is that we have to high sharp cutoff filters. Okay, high sharp cutoff filter like this one to achieve if they are just this one, this case. Okay, like this case, like there is no guard band, then we have to very high cutoff filter. So that is generally difficult to design or very complex. So we put some guard between these two frequency bands to handle the intersymbol interference in frequency domain. So we put the guard band. Okay. So that is a drawback. Why it is a drawback? Because guard band generally does not carry any information. So that is a loss of frequency bands. Okay, that is a one drawback. Another drawback is that these bands, frequency bands, are independently modulated. So we need multiple oscillators like F0 frequency oscillator, F1 frequency oscillator, and so on. So multiple oscillators and guard bands. So that's why this FDM is not spectrally efficient modulation technique. So overcome the drawback of FDM, frequency division multiplexing, we use the OFDM, orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. So what is the OFDM? OFDM we can put overlapping carriers. You can see that these are the overlapping carriers, okay, subcarriers. But this is the like a sampling point of first carrier F0. So contribution due to other subcarriers at this sampling point is 0. Okay. Similarly, you can see that this second subcarrier is maximum, then contribution of other subcarriers at this point is 0. Similarly, this one and this one. There is no guard band. You can see that. Okay, so that's the spectrally efficient. At sampling points, other frequency of subcarriers contribution is 0. So there is no interference from other subcarriers. Okay, so F0, F1, F2, and F3. Okay, so subsequently, this is called like a better scheme than the FDM. So this is called OFDM. Then it is better than FDM, frequency division multiplexing. So FDM has a drawback. This one, as I already told you, guard band and multiple oscillators. So OFDM is based on this one. We can put overlapping carriers, okay, but they are orthogonal in nature. That's why it is called OFDM. Okay, we will see why they are orthogonal and how much spacing between these two subcarriers is required. That we will see in coming slides. So OFDM use the principle of orthogonal signal. You can see like we have a set of orthogonal signals HIT, okay, some duration T. So I am considering this HIT is some waveform of duration of 0 to T. Then these waveforms or signals are orthogonal. Then we can define in this way: 0 to T, HIT and HJT, ith signal and jth signal. Integration is 0 if I is not equal to J, and that is the energy that if I is equal to J. Okay, so these are set of orthogonal signals. The meaning is that they satisfy this condition. Okay, then we consider like a composite signal GT. Okay, GT is the summation of orthogonal signals. You can see H1T, H2T up to HNT. So we have n orthogonal signals. Then they are added through these weights A1 and A2 and AN. So these are the weight A1 up to AN. So these weight we can modulate. These just data symbols. You can think data symbols. So A1 can take maybe like a QPSK symbol or BPSK and so on. Okay, so these may be like a real weights or the complex weights. So its meaning is that this signal is modulated, okay, through this data symbol A1. Then this symbol is modulated through the data symbol A2 and so on. Okay, so these are the n composite waveforms that represented using the GT. Okay, so GT has n orthogonal signals and it carry n data symbols at a time. At a time meaning is the single frame 0 to T. Okay. So this orthogonal signal carries the data A1 and this A2 and AN. Now, this is the like a structure of the transmitter. So you take this signal H1T multiplied by data A1, okay, then A2 and H2 and so on. Then you add up. Then you have a composite signal GT and then you can transmit. Okay. So you just need one antenna, okay, then you can need digital to analog converter, single analog to converter, single up conversion oscillator. So that is the advantage. Then at the receiver, how we will decode this data AI? So just taking the correlation. So this orthogonality property will help us to decode the data at the receiver side. So this composite signal is GT is multiplied by orthogonal signal HIT. So you can see that if you multiply GT and HIT, we have only ith correlator. This is basically a correlator, that is a null product between GT and HIT. So that is non-zero. That is non-zero. Others are 0. So if you like consider the example A1 H1T plus A2 H2T, then it is multiplied by H1T and dt in this integration 0 to T. So H2 and H1T are going to 0 because they are orthogonal. So you can extract the data A1. So here you can extract the data of ith signal. Okay. So that is very simple receiver. That just consider the correlation. So orthogonal orthogonal signals within this interval 0 to t. Okay, we can send n orthogonal signals and we can easily decode the data. So OFDM concept is based on this orthogonality. Okay. Now question is that, so this HIT that we have seen, HIT, these are the orthogonal signals. Okay, so these are also called basis functions or basis signals. So OFDM, what are the basis functions or basis signals? Okay. So what are the orthogonal signals in OFDM? So OFDM orthogonal signals are the cosine signals. Cosine signal. Okay. Cosine signal meaning is that this way cos and omega naught. Okay. So this is the cosine signal. So we will transmit different cosine signals of different frequencies. So you can think we can transmit cos omega 0 t, cos 2 omega 0 t, cos 3 omega 0 t, and cos n minus 1 omega 0 t. So we consider different harmonics of cosine signals omega naught, 2 omega naught, 3 omega naught, n minus omega naught. Okay, in this interval 0 to t, that is the symbol interval. Okay. Now question is that why we are considering cosine signal? That idea is coming from here. So you have transmitter and receiver. Between you have a wireless channel, then channel impulse response we can model as HT. Okay, for a small time duration, we can consider if coherence time is small, if channel is coherence time is like higher. Okay, we can model HT as a LTI system. Linear time invariant channel. Okay, what is the beauty of linear LTI system or LTI channel? Beauty is that if this is LTI and we are feeding the sinusoid signal e की power j omega t, output is also going to e की power o j omega naught. That is just a scaled version of k. Okay. So these are called the eigenfunctions of this channel or LTI system. So sinusoids, these are the cosine exponentials, so these are nothing, sinusoidal signals. So sinusoidal signals are the eigenfunction of the LTI channel or LTI system. Okay, that's why we are using cosine as a basis function in OFDM system. Okay. So what is the beauty of these cosines is that, just go to this slide. So what is the beauty of these cosine signals? Like you have a frequency selective channel. Okay, so you can see that this is a first waveform cos 2 pi f naught, fundamental frequency f naught, then is a second harmonic and third harmonics. Okay, so when this signal is going to independently modulated, this is also independently modulated, maybe like A1, A2 and A3. Okay, when this transmitted signal going through the channel, so output also appear the same. Okay, just a scaled version. Why it will appear? Because cosine signal in frequency domain, you can see just one impulse. Okay, impulse. So this is a frequency response. So this is the frequency domain channel. So you can see that it just appear like. So it will, amplitude will not distort. Okay, so it's just a scalar. Okay, so that's why I'm just put A0 is just a scalar. And so same cosine signal will appear in the output side. Okay, just same amplitude. Okay, so no amplitude distortion. That is the beauty by considering these cosines as a basis function in the OFDM system. Okay. So is any question at this point? Hello? Can you hear?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So again,
Hello.
this waveform will go then it will maybe again experience the flat fading channel. So there is no distortion in amplitude, only in the like scaled by this factor or maybe the delay. Okay, so that's the beauty of this LTI channel when we feeding when we are transmitting the cosine signals. Okay, so they will not distort. Otherwise, what will happen? Any other waveform you will transmit, like suppose square pulse. So square is like a sync. Okay, sync. Okay, so you can see that this like a frequency selective distortion will take place. Okay, so output is going to distort it. So that's why we are considering the cosine signals as a basis function. So let's go to this slide. So in OFDM, orthogonal functions are cosine functions. Then they can be written in this way. So that's the ith harmonic and the root 2 we are considering because they are normalized. So they can be defined in this way. Okay. They are orthogonal. So orthogonality allows simultaneous transmission of multiple subcarriers in tight frequency space without interfering to each other. So why then? So it is clear that we consider the cosine signals because cosine signal will not distort. So it means will not distort, meaning is that orthogonality at the transmitter will preserve, that is also preserved at the receiver side because their shape is not distorted. Cosine is going to receive cosine. So that is good thing. And orthogonality, why we are considering orthogonality? Because in the same time duration we can transmit multiple signals. Okay. With the help of orthogonality, we can decode each signal. So that question is also clear. Now, so the question is that this cosine signals frequency spectrum, if you can see this one frequency spectrum, that is valid when infinite duration cosine signals. When duration of infinite, these cosine signals are infinite. Okay, but practically we cannot put time frame that 0 to t. That is not infinite. This is just 0 to t. Okay, so you have to truncate these cosine signals. How to truncate these cosine signal? With the help of window. You can just multiply by window that duration of 0 to t. Okay, now so this is just a window, then this is just your cosine signal multiplied by window. So now your cosine signal of duration 0 to t. Okay, so what is the windowed cosine? So windowed cosine functions. So that Fourier transform is not this one. They like a sinc function. Okay, sinc function. So sinc function that is going to shift at center frequency f0. Okay, f0, that is this frequency, center frequency, and that the bandwidth is decided by that window duration 1 upon t. So that is a band of this. Okay, cool. So now f0, then we'll have another sinc function that is f0. Okay, that's why here I have shown you these sinc functions. Okay, so I hope this is clear why we put sinc function in frequency domain OFDM signal. So that happened due to the windowed cosine functions. Okay, so this way we can put. Now this condition is again violated because cosine functions, if you transmit this xk is equal to hk, that is channel impulse response, yk is equal to hk, and xk here representing the kth frequency or kth subcarrier. Okay. So when we window, like we put the window on the cosine signals, then their Fourier transform is going to sync. Okay, then output is not going to valid sine function. Okay, so we need to put cyclic extension of produce the transient so that channel answer to the symbol as they were infinitely long sinusoids. So meaning here is that if you consider the sinusoidal as infinite durations, then they will not distort. Okay, but we cannot take the infinite duration sinusoidal signals at the transmitter. So we will take only finite duration sinusoidal signals by multiplying a window. Okay, but when we multiplied by the window, then output is not going to the sinusoid. Okay, so what we will do, basic idea is that we do some extension of these sinusoidal signals such that channel experience that infinite long signal is feeded that. So what you will do, that is your channel. Okay, then you will feed sinusoidal signals such a way that channel will experience that infinite long duration cosine signal is applied. So we add the cyclic prefix that generally called cyclic extension. Okay, so we use the orthogonal transmit signal component cyclic extension of least tau max duration. Okay, tau max here L is greater than or equal to M to avoid not only ISI but also interference.
But also ISI.
Okay. So L is the cyclic length, M is the delay spread of the length that we already seen. M is equal to tau max upon Ts, that is a sampling frequency. Okay. So lower, so tau max is equal less than or equal to TMC keeps loss.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Hello.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now it's audible.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let's consider this cosine. Okay. Then it's multiplied by this window. Then it's going to channel. Okay. So now output is not appear as the cosine signal. Why it is not appear? Because it is a finite duration cosine. Output will appear as a sink. Okay. So what we will do? We will do some cyclic extension of this cosine signal. Some cyclic extension so that channel experience that infinite long sinusoidal is coming, then output is also going to sinusoidal. So that is generally called CP, cyclic prefix. We add cyclic prefix in the OFDM. So this will help us also to reduce the intersymbol interference. How it will help us? Let me see. Then, okay. So you can understand here. Let n is equal to 3, that is a symbol length. Okay, L is equal to 2 tap channel, that channel may be H0 and H1. Okay, so what is the output length? If you remember that is N length and that is L length. So output length is nothing but N plus L minus 1. That is a FIR filter output. You can remember that. Okay, so that is length is going to 4 y0 to y3. So H1 H0. Okay, so this is your equation in output side. So yk is equal to I is equal to 0 L minus 1. L is the number of taps. Hi xk minus I. So ISI is present. Why ISI is present? I can write it as yk is equal to I is equal to 0. So H0 then xk plus H1 xk minus 1 plus H2 xk minus 2 plus HL minus 1 xk minus L minus 1. Okay, so this is your current input, and that is the current output, and these are the previous inputs. These are the previous input k minus 1, k minus 2, and k minus L plus 1. So these are the previous inputs that causing the ISI. Okay, you can see current frame, that is a kth frame that has a current symbol, input symbol plus previous symbols contribution. So that's meaning is that ISI is present. Okay, so how to avoid the ISI? We have to make these components 0. Okay, because previous symbols should not appear in the current symbol duration. Okay, or current time instant. So we have to make these contributions 0. So we avoid this ISI, we put guard band. Okay, so what we will do, just sending this, you can think in this way. So this is your first frame, then you put some guard band. This is the second frame, then you can again put some guard band, okay, then is third frame and so on. So you are putting the guard bands, okay, this guard band may be like you can put 0 0, okay, 0 0, okay, then first frame, second frame and third frame. So what this guard band will do, that will avoid ISI, that will make these components 0, okay. So that's why you can look 2 tap channel H0 and H1, and that's why I put this guard interval, okay. So this, if you just do that, so this is going to 0, H1 X0. So this, if you want to remove this one, then remove this one, we can write it as H0 X0, like 0 0 0 0 and 0. So you can do that, okay. But what is the problem in this putting the guard band as 0? Problem is that this guard band, like sharp transition can happen, because here is the data and here is only 0. So that transitions, okay, the sharp transitions can result in the broadening, frequency broadening, okay. That is one disadvantage. So what we will do, generally we'll do the cyclic extension. Cyclic extension, I already told you. So that meaning is that last frame duration, last data symbols we can put at the beginning as a guard band or guard interval, that generally called CP, cyclic prefix. Okay, so CP generally we put last data symbols. Let how many data symbols? If channel length is L, so we have to put at least CP length is greater than or equal to L. So last L symbols we can, or more than L, we can put at the beginning as a guard band. So you can see that Y0, Y1, Y2, okay. So H1, H0, H1, H0, 3 tap, 2 taps. So X2 is a cyclic prefix. So H1, X2, H0, X0, then H1, X0, H0, X1. So this band we have to remove, so that we can write, like maybe I will write here H1, X2 plus H0, X0. Then I can write H1, X0 plus H0, X1. Then third we can write as H1, X1 plus H0, X2. Okay. So you can see that H1 is multiplied to X2, okay, and H0 is multiplied by X0. So we can see that this is the last symbol. Here you can see last symbol, and is multiplied by this previous channel coefficient H1. So I can write this matrix in this form: H0, H1, H0, X1, cyclic prefix. Okay, so that is generally rotation of this one. So we can write as a circulant matrix: H0, H1, okay, then H1, H0. So this is called circulant matrix, and data X0, X1, and X2. So this linear convolution, by adding the cyclic prefix as a previous data last data symbols, we can put this in a circulant matrix, okay, or that is called circular convolution. Okay. So this is a circulant matrix. So this input output relation we can write as Y is equal to Cx. That is a circulant matrix, that is a transmitted data, and that is a received symbol. Okay. So this is just a block diagram of OFDM. So you can see this the data symbols, okay. Then data symbols put in the frequency domain, okay. Then we take serial to parallel. So this serial is coming, then parallel. Then we take IFFT, so they convert it into the time domain, okay. Then they transmit it parallel to serial. Then we add the cyclic prefix. Then they transmit it. At receiver we receive data, transmitted data plus noise. Then remove the cyclic prefix. Then serial to parallel. Then take the FFT and then parallel to serial conversion. Then demodulate. Okay. So here IFFT operation is performed, and here FFT operation is performed. So complexity of OFDM is very low. Why it is very low? Because complexity is distributed between transmitter and receiver. Generally, these are the DFTs basically. So DFT can be implemented with the help of fast operation, that is FFT operation. Okay. So this is another way of looking OFDM. I just took this from the David T. book, Fundamental of Wireless Communication. So you can see these are the data symbols in time domain. These are the data symbols in frequency domain. Frequency domain, you put the data, then you take IDFT, that is represented by matrix U inverse. Okay, so output is going to U inverse decap. Decap is this vector, data symbol and frequency domain. Okay, so there's a mathematical representation. So you have n data symbols in time domain here, n data symbols. Then you add the CP, cyclic prefix, that is length of L. Okay, so here you put these data symbols. Previous data symbols are copied. Then they transmitted through the channel. So y is equal to h. That is a linear circular convolution. Okay, that is a channel. Then the data. So that is a circular convolution. Y is equal to h d. Okay. Then output will appear in this form. Then you remove the CP. So CP we can remove from these are the CPs. LCPs we can remove. Then we take the data from here. YL to L. So this is the data in the time domain. So we put the data in frequency domain. So we have to decoding the data in frequency domain. So we have to do DFT. Then this is going to decoding in the frequency domain. So Y tilde is equal to U and Y. So this is a DFT matrix, that is the U. Okay, U. So you can understand Y is equal to CD. Y is the data received. C is the circulant matrix and D is the data. So circulant matrix can be diagonalized using the DFT matrix. Okay, U inverse, that is a DFT inverse DFT matrix. Then that is the eigenvalues, lambda diagonal matrix. Then again a DFT matrix and the data. So Y tilde at the receiver we doing the DFT. So you just multiply it by U. Then put the values of this one. So U inverse, that identity matrix. Then it is going like a lambda, U and D. So what is the D? D is the data in the time domain. If you take the frequency domain data, okay, this decap in the frequency domain. So inverse IDFT matrix, then we can put here. So this is again is going to identity matrix. So Y tilde is equal to lambda D tilde. D tilde is the data in frequency domain, and that is the data in received data in frequency domain. So ith subcarrier just have this kind of relation. Yi tilde is equal to Hi Di tilde. So only ith carrier just multiplied by single factor Hi, that is a complex number. So at the receiver we have a simple equalizer Yi tilde multiplied by Hi. So you have Di tilde. Okay. So that is a one tap equalizer. One tap equalizer. Equalizer. Okay. So that is a fundamental of OFDM. Okay. So another, as I already told you, we put the cyclic prefix last L-1 data symbols to the beginning of the frame. Okay. So that we can convert linear convolution to the circular convolution. Then what is the advantage of circular convolution? Circular convolution, this matrix D, C, circulant matrix can be decomposed or diagonalized using the DFT matrix. Okay, so you can see that these DFT matrices are independent of the channel. This one, okay, DFT matrix, you just take independent, but only this eigenvalue of this lambda matrix is depend on the channel. Okay. So that complexity is significantly reduced. These are some advantages of OFDM. It is a spectrally efficient. Spectrally efficient meaning is that we are putting overlapping subcarriers. Okay, there is no guard band. Then robust against the fading and ISI. Its meaning is that intersymbol interference they generally don't experience. Then they are fading against, is robust against the fading, meaning is that you have multiple subcarriers. Suppose it is going to deep fade, at that time it may be not in deep fade, so they are robust. Only some carriers may can go into deep fade at particular time, so they are robust. Then flat fading and CP. So each subcarrier experience the flat fading channel. Efficient implementation using FFT and IFFT. Okay, because transmitter and receiver complexity splits. Okay, system complexity splits between transmitter and receiver, and so transmitter side we have IFFT and receiver side we have FFT. More robust against co-channel interference and impulse noise. Meaning that same subcarriers, some subcarriers is going to affect, so that's why it is more robust. And disadvantage is that high PAPR, large dynamic range in RF amplifier. Its meaning is that suppose you have a base station, okay, and you have multiple users. So uplink scenario, you are transmitting the data. So this is user 1, user 2 and user 3. They are independently sending their data and independently modulating these carriers. Okay, so what will happen? This carrier may be at constructively or destructively at the base station. So when they are added constructively, that time peak is going to up, and destructively that time is going to value low. Okay, so sometimes they have a like low value, sometimes very high value. So that high PAPR range, so peak to average power ratio is higher. Okay, so peak to average power ratio is higher, meaning is that we need an amplifier that can operate in linearly for high dynamic range. Okay, but if amplifier operate in linear region, okay, if you remember that time efficiency of that power amplifier is low. Okay, so we cannot use the efficient RF amplifier or power amplifier. Okay, so that is a drawback. Okay, if you don't use the efficient amplifier, its meaning is that energy efficiency of the wireless system is going to very low. Okay, so if you want to high energy efficiency, that time you have to have low PAPR. Okay, is this clear? What the disadvantage of PAPR? Yeah. Then
here the users will be.
Yeah. Oh, that meaning is that generally if you put like like this is OFDM from, this is time and this is frequency. So if they are like some time this frequency and they are like distributed independent, like I will show you. Okay, so you can think this one like a particular time. Okay, particular time this carrier is going to like a 1 or 2 carrier is used by this user, second, third and fourth use this one, third, fourth this one. So at this one same time they are transmitting, so signal will add up. Okay, when signal is add up, okay, that time it sometimes is going to peak and sometimes it's going to low. As I already told you, like let's go to here. You can see these are the like orthogonal signals. So A1, A2 and A3, AN, if these coefficients are like aligned, okay, like in constructively, that time amplitude of the signal is higher. If they are like different phases, okay, that time amplitude constructively, destructively added, that time amplitude of GT is low. This way you can understand. Sensitive to carrier frequency offset. So, and that is another issue is the synchronization. Okay, synchronization is not a big issue, but carrier frequency offset you can understand in this way, because we are putting carrier like non-overlapping carriers. This like F0 and this is like F1. Okay, so that's the carrier spacing. Delta F is equal to F1 minus F0. Okay. Okay, so what will happen if you have a like a high mobility scenario, that time you have a Doppler effect. Okay, Doppler meaning is that transmitted signal frequency is modulated. Okay, so this frequency may be going to shift. Just a minute. Okay, so in high mobility scenario, what will happen? Doppler is very high. Okay, so Doppler generally is FD, that is proportional to velocity, then carrier frequency, and divided by light wave speed. Okay, so if V is high, Doppler is high, so that time this F0, so Doppler frequency is going to plus minus FT. Okay, so Doppler frequency is high, that time this signal carrier frequency can shift. Okay, so that time this carrier frequency offset can happen. So what will happen at the receiver, like, sorry, earlier you can see that this is the contribution of the second carriers, because second carrier contribution is 0. Now you have a non-zero, this one, second carrier. Okay, that means impact of other carriers, like that is called intersymbol interference. Due to other carriers, due to the offset, this inter-carrier interference is present. Okay, I say this is called ICI, inter-carrier interference. Okay, so that can happen, so that we need to take care. Okay, an OMDM system. So what the meaning is that to avoid this carrier frequency offset, we can put these subcarriers like a different apart, like a gap or a spacing among the carriers we can increase. That is the one solution of that. Okay, but if you put the gapping, more gapping among the carriers, you can put less number of sub channels, so you can lose the efficiency of the system, spectral efficiency. Okay, now, so that is the overview of this system. So just I want to highlight another thing in OFDM. Yeah, so question is here is that, like, you have a B total frequency B, then you're putting n number of subcarriers in this frequency band B. Okay, so how many bands we can put? Generally B upon n, that is equal to delta F. Okay, n subbands. So these are the subcarriers are orthogonal. So like, what is the value of n? How many subcarriers we can put? Okay, if you can put n higher, or even n is more, that time this spacing can going to reduce. Okay, so if n is higher, spacing is reduced, meaning is that carrier offset can easily deteriorate the system. Okay, if you are like operating in the Doppler scenario, when like a receiver or transmitter is moving, that time Doppler is there, so carrier offset take place, then it's difficult to handle the carrier offset. So if you putting more n, your system is going to like or easily going to affect by this carrier offset. Okay, inter-carrier interference. Okay, so that is the one way. Another thing is that if you putting the small n, like less number of n's, so spacing is going to high. Okay, spacing is going to high. Okay, then what will happen if delta F is higher, then this multiple carrier symbol duration is higher. Okay, because delta F is higher, so time duration it is going to reduce, TMC is going to reduce. Then maybe the condition is that we consider this condition, that condition may be violated. Okay, so this condition tau max, that is the delay spread of the channel. Okay, delay spread of the channel, and this delta F, that is a spacing, that depend on the coherence time of the channel. So like how many subcarriers we can consider, that depend on the channel property, that is a coherence time and Doppler delay spread of the channel. So by considering these two factors, we can decide the value of n for that particular operating environment. So is any question regarding this OFDM? Hello? So can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So we have discussed the fundamental of OFDM. Okay. Then this PAPR can be reduced using the DFT precoding scheme that reduce the PAPR. Okay. So in this way, what we will do, we will assign some data, then we put some zero subcarriers, set of carriers we can put for particular user. Okay. Then we take the endpoint DFT. Okay. And then we can subcarrier mapping. Okay. So this the M and this the endpoint FFT. So MM point FFT then subcarrier. So what will this will spread over M. Okay. So that then we do the subcarrier mapping. So this way we can reduce the PAPR. So more details you can refer some recent literature how to this DFT precoding FDMA works. Okay. This is all I think also called SCF FDMA, frequency division multiple access, single carrier frequency division multiplexing. Yeah, so these are the more related to 5G NR. So 5G NR we are using the OFDMA